This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Infinity Isle, and as the Green Empire spawning on the left side, we do have Eminence against WalfTheWolf as the Cyan allies on the right side. And if you're feeling like this map and these players are feeling a little bit familiar, maybe a bit of deja vu going on with some color blindness, or actually I guess it would be not color blindness at all, but we do... WalfTheWolf, stop it! I'm trying to cast your game. He's going to be playing, of course, as Puzzles, which is his Smurf. However, if you're feeling like this is a little bit of a regame, then it is at least a little bit of a regame as the first dog gets taken out there, which means no precious scouting information for WalfTheWolf, unless he decides to run a dog around the north side of the island, which of course a lot of Allies players do like to do that just for that like 2 to 3 minute scout, just to make sure, you know, which way is my opponent expanding, as we do have a fairly quick third refinery taken on the water by mates Eminence. So we'll have to see, is there going to be any sort of naval yard first, and by first I do mean naval yard before any sort of a third ref out of WalfTheWolf, because a naval yard with a couple of riptides could potentially lock down this expansion. We'll have to see if the Tengu production is on par. Because the very, very, very dangerous thing, of course, about going for that third refinery is that you're kind of in a spot where you don't have a whole lot of money. And then as soon as you get your mecha bay out and your economy stabilizes a little bit, you are able to pump out Tengus like almost no other. The second war power plant does go down. That is not a naval yard of any description. However, the airfield is down, and this is, of course, airfield after second refinery, so neither one of these players is going for a crazy amount of aggression. But as you can see, WalfTheWolf has added on a fair number of peacekeepers, including a javelin trooper, just for that extra anti-structure punch. And so he's going to be forming up on the front line and getting in with the Vindicator Scout. He knows exactly what is up. He's like, wait a second, there's no Tengus out right now. There has got to be an expansion out on the water. I can see that there's nothing on the land, or he can probably almost see that there's nothing on the land. Snipes down the oil derrick right there, and of course he's maintained control of his own. So WalfTheWolf in a pretty strong position already. He's got his two, I almost called them Tengus, but he's got his two Vindicators camped outside of this refinery, and there is the tier 2 purchase for that mecha bay, which means we could be seeing some VX or Tengu action coming out of here, although he might just go for tsunami tanks just as a possibility. They will be able to tank a little bit more damage if he gets off that special ability just in time. Once again, Imperial Warriors are going to be on the north side, and then the Peacekeepers are heading in from the south. And we'll have to see, is there going to be any sort of hashtag wall swag as the naval yard gets dropped down. The third refinery has been established. WalfTheWolf is going to be looking to put a little bit of pressure on this expansion, while at the same time camping just outside of that war factory. And oh, actually, WalfTheWolf going to be doing absolutely nothing. You will have to see, he does snipe down one Tengu, albeit barely, and that the Striker VX may actually be able to snipe down that Apollo. Yes, he gets a kill on the Apollo, which will of course be favoring the Empire player, because Apollos are a bit more spendy than those Tengus. A total of those 5 Peacekeepers have gone down. I think it was 3 Imperial Warriors went down. Not sure how many of them were able to escape. A Striker VX going to be on the front line as well, which means we could see some Apollos get taken out. It is going to be Dolphins, not Riptides, and of course the dangerous thing about Dolphins is they may be better at taking down the stuff out on the water, but unfortunately, once they take out the stuff on the water, they can't really do anything else. He will be able to patrol if he decides to get a water expansion either here or there. He will be able to patrol that and keep it a little bit safer with the Dolphins. However, one Vindicator does not get taken out at all, because those VXs simply did not have the damage output to really deal with that. And this may be one of the first times in the history of the game that a Dojo Core has actually survived that long. That's kind of hilarious. Eminence not going for his almost, at this point, patented walls on the mid-ground there. He's still, I mean, he didn't decide to go for the triple refinery onto the high ground. He instead went out to the, I can't actually tell if that VX got a crush off on that Peacekeeper or not. Multi-gunner turret going to be deployed on the front line. We still do not have any sort of an armor facility, which means no Guardian tanks. However, we do have a Chopper VX. Will he be able to get the freeze or even the shrink on that MCV? However, the Vindicator could go down. No, it does escape, and that airfield being so close is just allowing these Vindicators to have such short travel times to the front lines. Dolphins being pulled back, which means that Eminence, he's not exactly going to be comfortable on those 3 bases when he could have had 4, which is a nice denial by WalfTheWolf. Just going to be keeping Eminence contained, and Eminence is doing his best to get himself some kills, but he just simply cannot contend with the air superiority of WalfTheWolf. 2 Chopper VX, 2 Cryocopters are on the field, and WalfTheWolf is in a pretty strong defensive position. He's being constantly active with his units. He's not letting them sit around, and a lot of times you'll see players, they're like, you know, I've just got my Apollos over here, and then suddenly you don't have any Apollos because Striker VXs were able to target them from the high ground and take them out. But that is not so with WalfTheWolf. He's doing a good job of staying on top of his units and moving them around, keeping them out of range of those Striker VXs. I think he's only lost one Apollo, and that was an initial Apollo to those. Oh, although he almost loses 2 more Vindicators. Is he going to be sending them home? No, he does not. He loses 1 Vindicator, going to be trading it for at least 1 Tengu. He needs to snipe down another Tengu to really make that Vindicator worth it. Loses a Peacekeeper as well, so WalfTheWolf is not trading super efficiently, and the transform there was perfect. Both of the players actually responded exactly as they should have. He got a couple of shots off there. Eminence got a couple of shots off with the Chopper VXs, transforms them to Strikers, avoids any damage output from the Apollos, and almost snipes down an Apollo. However, he will be able to claim a couple of these VXs. Where are the Apollos? They're nowhere in range. They're just now going to be arriving, and they will be able to target down maybe one of the Tengus. Oh no, all of the Tengus are able to take down the majority of those Apollos, which means the Apollos are suddenly going to be gone, which means no more air superiority for WalfTheWolf. He's actually going to be losing possibly 2 power plants. Oh no, it does look like the Air Forces of Eminence have pulled back at least a little bit. The Apollos are back out in force, but the targeting is all bad. Oh, barely. Man, that Apollo is the bravest Apollo in the wild as he does escape, just hardly even at all, and still no water expansion, which means that Eminence is just more concerned about his army. He's not as concerned about getting himself up an extra expansion. He knows that the Dolphins out there are a clear and present danger. He hasn't been able to deal with them at any point, and since the Naval Yard has been sold off, if they are dealt with, then WalfTheWolf will not be able to so easily deal with any sort of water expansion. Of course, he does still have the Cryocopters and the Vindicators, but he won't have the Dolphins out there, which of course it almost might be worth it for Eminence to go ahead and hunt down those Dolphins. If he can catch one or both of them, he might be able to go ahead and then safely expand, because then he only has to worry about Air Forces, and of course Tengus do relatively well versus the Air Forces of the Allies. Athena Cannon's now out mixing in Mirage tanks as well. I don't think that's... Oh no, that is a Rock indeed. That is not a Mirage tank. And adding on a Barracks, which means we could be seeing Tanya, or it could just be... Oh, actually, we could see some spies, though. It is going to be Javelin Troopers initially. We'll have to see what his composition includes in a minute. He will be sniping down 1 Dolphin, which gets attacked in the air, unfortunately, completely taken out there. So WalfTheWolf does lose 1 Dolphin, and he is going to be pulling back because his entire air armada has been spotted, and WalfTheWolf responding there. Neither one of these players really wants to lose anything. 3 Tsunami tanks on the north side. No additional Tsunami tanks are being added on, although Eminence did use the speed boost just to get them around that ridge a little bit quicker, and I think we're going to be seeing some sort of a 2-pronged attack out of Eminence, although no, he is going to be forming up his forces all on this one section of the island, which is the furthest section for WalfTheWolf to try to defend. All 3 of the Tsunami tanks are here, however, they are going to be pulling back absolutely fine, and this is kind of what we saw in that previous game, where it's like Eminence wasn't necessarily doing a huge amount of direct damage, but he was forcing these collectors off the line, and now suddenly this Prospector is over here not doing anything for the next 10 to 20 seconds, and it will not be harvesting. 1 dog will get taken out there, but that dog is going to be scouting those Tsunami tanks, and still, this Prospector, there is no real danger, or at least there wasn't. The Tsunami tanks are coming back onto the land but that is going to be a Mirage tank to try to deal with these Tsunami tanks. They both do get frozen down, which means they get nearly one-shotted there by that Mirage tank. And suddenly, that was an extremely efficient Mirage tank attack. While on the south side, we do have Tengus being chased away there by the VXs. But this Cryocopter Mirage tank combo, you don't even need the freeze ray of the Cryocopter, because that Mirage tank essentially one-shots everything that the Mirage, or essentially one-shots all of the Tsunami tanks. And 1 Apollo could get taken out there. It does go down, while on the north side, the Tengus are going to be pulling back. As you can see, they're pretty heavily damaged. 4 of them nearly dead. The other 3 are at almost full HP. And these multi-gunner turrets going to be, or multi-gunner turrets, multi-gunner infantry vehicles, whatever they're called, IFVs, are going to be able to deal just fine with any sort of Tengus. There is actually going to be the nanotech mainframe, and there is the 420 hashtag wall swag of Eminence. That, of course, everybody, I'm really glad that everyone responded well to the ridiculous dubstep montage in the May Ladder Wars, because that was a ton of fun to make, and I was hoping everyone was going to get that it is not serious. It is the silliest thing to make a montage about, and that MCV is just in range of the Athena Cannon, which means it will be forced to pack up, which means there's no more walls for Eminence. He's going to be getting these walls all eaten up, as we do have the Tengus. One of them does get picked off. The majority of them are at full health, but we have not seen a whole lot of point defense drones, which would certainly turn the tides of some of these battles in Eminence's favor. We'll have to see if he decides to deploy them at any other point in this game. We haven't actually seen a whole lot of the classic Empire upgrades be utilized all that much, or rather the top secret protocols. I guess they're not really upgrades. However, we do have not a huge lack of anti-air, but if the Tengus get in on top of these Javelin Troopers, then we could see these Mirage tanks and the Athena Cannons melt away against the force of, the Apollos, almost picking off an additional Tengu there, but the Apollos are now going to be able to keep at bay the Tengus and keep these Mirage tanks and the Athena Cannon completely safe from those Striker VXs. However, of course, what could completely shred all of these units regardless would be that King Oni, which is now on the field. Not a unit that you see very often, but with that Bull Rush ability, it could do some serious damage. And once again, Eminence is sitting on those 3 bases, which isn't too bad, since WalfTheWolf is on 3 as well. But WalfTheWolf is slowly going to be pushing past Eminence, and he is going to be able to snipe down that refinery, and it really will give Eminence a huge disadvantage. However, there is going to be the Bull Rush. Didn't actually do anything. It did almost take down that Athena Cannon, but it is actually going to be worth it. These Tsunami tanks aren't actually doing anything. Why did you even include them in the army, Eminence? You basically did nothing with them. However, he will be able to take down that King Oni, which is now doing a fair amount of damage. However, it's not doing a huge amount just simply because it is now frozen down, or just about there, as the Mirage tanks all do get eaten up, as well as that Athena Cannon. One Mirage tank does still remain, but an additional King Oni is added on to the front lines. It will be able to do a fair amount of damage. It is getting shrunk down there. However, 2 of those Tengus did get taken out, and an additional Tengu does get that fully heroic status. He is going to be pushing back. Puzzles, aka WalfTheWolf, is getting slammed by Eminence, and the infantry are actually doing a little bit of damage here. They will be able to add some additional firepower to the army of Eminence. However, we do have an additional Bull Rush getting slowed there at the last moment there before it actually impacted, and the Shrink Rays are absolutely huge here, as they are allowing these King Onis to do not nearly as much damage as they would ordinarily be able to do. We do have Cryocopters, but where's the Vindicator? It's nowhere near to be found. However, there's the Vindicator. The Apollos are not in the correct position to hold this attack. However, both of the Cryocopters, did they go down? Yes, I do believe that they did, and a huge amount of damage there done by Eminence. No, he did not take out all of the Cryocopters. One Cryocopter does survive. However, I think that was about $3,000 to $4,000 worth of resources lost for WalfTheWolf, although he may not have lost. I think he only lost 1 Apollo and 1 Vindicator. It's hard to tell exactly because there was a ton going on there. Tank Busters being added on is a great choice by Eminence. Adding in a couple of Tank Busters can really save your army, especially when the King Onis that are there to actually tank the damage. And I'm glad that he actually just cut out those Tsunami tanks, because they didn't actually do anything in that engagement before. They absorbed a couple of shots from the Mirage tanks, but other than that, the King Oni wasn't able to really do all that much while the Mirage tanks were dealing with the Tsunamis. An additional Mirage tank being added onto the front lines here, and it looks like the observation post, I think that's a little bit of stutter step micro just about there from WalfTheWolf. I think he was just having a little bit of fun taking down that observation post. Decides to let it stand. I thought maybe he was going to eliminate it just to make sure he didn't have to retreat around it and possibly lose units because they had to drive around it instead of being able to just simply retreat. However, the King Onis are going to be charging, not actually doing anything at all, and almost sacrificing a Mecha Tengu there. The point defense drone saving it from taking much hull damage. However, a couple of King Onis going to be bull rushing. No! WalfTheWolf denying these attacks again and again. However, Eminence has been able to hold on to that refinery. He has had to rebuild a couple of his power plants. However, that's not a huge deal, as where the other King Onis, they're not anywhere to be found. They're all shrunk down, which means that WalfTheWolf was simply able to divide and conquer. That's basically what's happening here, as WalfTheWolf is not having to deal with the entire army of King Oni because it's constantly being shrunk down by the great Cryocopter control of WalfTheWolf, who is managing to just keep his army alive despite the fact that it's technically going up against stuff that should be able to just take it down. The King Oni is finally going to be able to engage here, but are they going to be able to do very well? They're going to be able to do fantastically now that they're all full size, eating up those Mirage tanks in just a couple of shots, and now suddenly WalfTheWolf is not in a very good position, and he did force the sell-off of that refinery, but does he have anything to deal with the army of Eminence? Because if he's able to get another engagement like that, then WalfTheWolf is going to be at a serious disadvantage as Eminence adds on more King Onis, adds on more Tengus, or even Striker VXs, and instead we'll be able to just trade extremely efficiently. It's going to be coming down to the control of WalfTheWolf. WalfTheWolf staying active with his Dolphin, making sure that he's sending it over, which I guess he hasn't been all that active with it since there isn't a whole lot for that Dolphin to do, but overall he is going to be checking on, he's going to be keeping up with Eminence, just making sure that he's keeping tabs on him, seeing him what exactly is Eminence doing. Costing him money there by forcing him to rebuild that refinery, always going to be good for WalfTheWolf. Plus, he lost quite a bit of mining time. Eminence did, that is, not WalfTheWolf. What is he going to be adding on? More Tengus, quite possibly. And he, as you can see, he's going to be circling up his units so that he can add on those point defense drones. No, never mind. Oh, he is going to be rearranging his army, most likely for those point defense drones, trying to get as many packed into that little group and make use of that extra defense as much as possible, because that really will help, not only with cryocopters and just regular damage output, but it'll just help his units survive a little bit longer. Apollo's once again going to be going in for that scout off. Still no point defense drones. I guess it's not quite on cooldown, or Eminence simply doesn't want to use it just yet. A couple of Peacekeepers could get picked off here, but where's the real brunt of the army? Where's the real damage dealers? They're in the back, just now heading to the front, and I almost want to say that it'll be better for WalfTheWolf to throw down another base defense and then go for a home engagement on his turf, on his terms, where he has the defender's advantage, where he can make use of those base defenses, where he can have that extra damage output. And on the other hand, Eminence, he simply doesn't want to engage into those base defenses. He wants to be able to make sure that he gets the perfect bull rushes, that he's able to take down, hopefully, the Mirage tanks, maybe if there's more Athena cannons, take them down as well, and then he can deal with the Guardian tank, and he can deal with the infantry very easily, because at that point, if he's able to take down the Mirage tanks, the multi-gunner turret is absolutely no problem. Currently, he's currently up one King Oni against the Mirage tanks, which is a great place to be for Eminence. And we do have the Tengu counterattack, which will snipe down one Harvester just fine. The refinery will survive. One Tengu gets traded, but that's 1,000 credits for 800. That is going to be favoring the Empire player just fine. The one Jet Tengu does survive with about half health there. And WalfTheWolf simply doesn't have anything to contend this. WalfTheWolf making a huge mistake, letting a couple of, only letting one Cryocopter die there, but that is unfortunately, very unfortunate for him. Neither one of these players, again, we're seeing this sort of situation where neither one of these players really wants to engage in this. A refinery being established, but it's not really doing a whole lot, as the command hub there will be getting targeted down, and now WalfTheWolf is suddenly like, hey, I don't really have a whole lot going on in the water anymore. I've got a great, strong ground army, but as these, actually, have they already been depleted? No, not yet. Still about 11,000 left. He does sell off the refinery, which, of course, as you can see, Eminence was sure to target down the command hub and should actually be targeting down that power plant at the very least. It'll force it to force WalfTheWolf to rebuild it. But wait a second, Eminence actually using Emperor's Rage over here. It could actually be very key in this next battle. One Apollo does get taken out, which could be key. However, the Athena Cannon will not get taken out. Instead, the Mirage Tank should be focused fired, because the Athena Cannon isn't actually doing a whole lot at this moment. The Mirage Tank is going to be able to chase away the King Onis, which there's no Cryocopter support for WalfTheWolf. Where are actually his Cryocopters? He's got one right there. That Shrink Ray could have been used to great effect. A fully heroic King Oni gets taken down, and that Mirage Tank not actually doing a ton in that engagement. As I almost said the exact opposite of what I wanted to say. The Tengu's not doing a whole lot. They didn't even go for the Cryocopter, which wasn't even a part of that battle. One Striker VX goes down, but when you've lost as much as Eminence has, one Cryocopter isn't going to even the odds. One Mirage Tank, or the Guardian Tank, did get sniped down there, but it was taking the shots for the Mirage Tanks, and now Eminence is going to be losing. And it's MCV, almost record time there. Huge amount of damage output for those Mirage Tanks, but now this single Mirage Tank will be locking down that Tengu harass. And, the Bull Rush does claim 2 Mirage Tanks, but will these Javelin Troopers actually decide to focus down the King Oni as its fully heroic status from killing a couple of those Mirage Tanks? And Eminence isn't doing a very good job of focus firing. He could have been taking down those Mirage Tanks, but Eminence has been defeated. WalfTheWolf simply had too much. He was able to deny that harassment, and able to secure his expansion, or rather keep his expansion in the middle, while sniping the expansion in the middle and the one on the water for Eminence. Overall, well played by both of these players. Minor mistakes made on both sides. And this whole art of defense versus art of offense or whatever these two players are naming their replays is really quite great. However, we do have Eminence taking the fall in that game. And oh man, he just simply, that last battle there, he just simply didn't have the damage output, and his harassment wasn't going as he would have liked. And so as a result, he didn't have a whole lot left to deal with WalfTheWolf's army. He wasn't able to win the engagement on the ridge. He was able to do fairly well initially, but then faltered at the end there. Exactly to what? I suppose just the superior damage output of WalfTheWolf over a fairly even economic game. Eminence taking an early lead with that third refinery, but then losing it as WalfTheWolf established his own third, and then from that point on, they both basically just had 3 refineries, and the oil derrick not making a huge difference in that game. As you can see, pretty even overall, about 300 credits of difference per minute, only 6,000 credits total going to WalfTheWolf. That will do it for this game. Of course, an excellent mates game, and we'll have to see if they're able to bring more awesome games, and the other clans, if they're going to be stepping up to bring us some really awesome matches as well. But this is Sybert, signing out.